And welcome everybody to another spellbinding, genre bending episode of The Shahan Show. I am, of course, your host, Flip Hurley, also known as James Shahan. And thank you for tuning in. If you are tuning in, of course, if you're not, then disregard this message as you automatically would since you wouldn't even hear it. Great intro, James. Thanks. We actually, before we get started on this episode, I did actually procure a sponsor. So that's pretty big news. So let me just give a quick intro for our sponsor, a quick shout out to Bean Spa. That's right. Bean Spa is the world's premier and I think the first spa to really utilize the healing and therapeutic properties of beans. So you can go to Bean Spa and get a pinto treatment. They have a black bean dip. You basically sit in, it's like a jacuzzi, but filled just to the brim with black beans. That's my favorite treatment. They have kidney beans, which of course supports the health of your liver. And their chickpea wrap is phenomenal. So go online to beanspa.biz, enter promo code beans for life. That's BEANS as in Sam, the number 4, and then LYFE. You'll get 20% off of your first visit. So highly recommend it if you need just a getaway, something relaxing. They do great work. So take it from me. All right. So now that we have that out of the way, what has been going on with me? Well, first, I guess I should say that in August, my wife and I will be moving back to the States to San Diego. And we are both very excited for that for a number of reasons. I mean, I'm originally from California. For anyone who has watched the first episode or listened to the first episode, you probably know that already. But for me, it's sort of like a homecoming. So, very much looking forward to that. And another great thing about moving back, besides, obviously not having the language barrier and being able to work, because I was really able to do only limited work while I was out here, is that I'll be able to play shows again. So that's something I'm really excited about. I have not played a show in, I want to say 3 years. Yeah, right before, because my last show I think was 2019, towards the end of the year, maybe November, because it was shortly before the pandemic started. And then once the pandemic hit, I haven't done anything for obvious reasons. So very exciting and very excited as well. I think that's going to be a great move. And I miss performing. I really do. It's one of my favorite things as an artist, to get on stage and just be able to let it all out. You know what I mean? And at least in my opinion, that seems to be how people most connect with my music, is in person. So I think that'll be pretty encouraging as well, which is really important for any artist, especially an indie artist, someone just starting out, is to have some encouragement. and to have some things that give them, positive feedback about what they're doing, make them feel good, make them want to continue. That's really, well, I guess it's important for everyone, right? Especially during the past few years where things have just been one dumpster fire after another. And of course, the dumpster fires still continue in multiple ways, but I think uh, this will be really good for me. So, and for my wife as well. I hope, anyway. If she hates it, then we can figure something else out. But for now, that's the plan. So, looking forward to that. That's good news. And since I am bringing that up and plan to talk about that on the pod show, I figured I should also mention some of the cultural differences that there are being in the Czech Republic versus being in the States. So, this segment is named after the episode. We'll call it Prague Rock. Little pun for you there, a little humor. Not much, but a little bit. So, and then I make myself laugh by my joke about the humor not being there, and then that's even less humor. And this is just the best podcast in the world. I'm so good. So cultural differences, there are a few, quite a few. I'd say the biggest one that I've noticed is in the Czech Republic, if you see a stranger, if you make eye contact, don't smile at them. Don't smile at them. You just don't do it. In the States, you see a stranger, you make eye contact, you smile at them to acknowledge their existence, to let them know, hey, I'm not a threat. I see you. Good job, buddy, or whatever. You make someone feel welcome. You kind of, it's more of a disarming thing. You decompress the environment. Here in the Czech Republic, if you smile at a stranger, it's almost the opposite. It's kind of seen as threatening almost, like, why are you, I don't know you and you're smiling at me. What dark secret do you have? Which of my relatives' bodies has turned up in your basement type of thing. So, yeah, it's customary. Just you see someone, you make eye contact. If you can stare, I guess. I mean, if that's really what you get off on, but don't smile at them because that's when it gets weird. So people don't like that. So that's one of the biggest differences that I've noticed, and it's been even now, even after what 6, 7, 8, I don't even know. After over 6 months of being here, I still have a hard time with it because that's just my impulse. So I see someone, I want to smile. And now I'm afraid that when I go back to the States, I'm not going to be smiling at people. And then people are going to be smiling at me and think that I'm an asshole. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah, so that's one big thing. Another difference, lunch. Lunch is a pretty big cultural difference out here in that it's easily the biggest meal of the day. It's customary to have 2 courses with your lunch. You have soup, and then you have a full full meal. So I remember one time I was at my wife's mom's house. We were both there. And I didn't fully understand this yet. So she asked me, it was, around lunchtime, and she was like, hey, do you want soup? I was like, yeah, sure. So I had 2 bowls of soup thinking that was my lunch. And then she's like, okay, and lunch is ready. And she brings me like a full steak, potatoes, or whatever it was. I don't really remember, but I think it was that. And I was like, bro, I just had lunch. What do you? And she's like, no, you have soup and then you have the food. So that's been there's been an adjustment period there for sure. I've never really been a big soup guy, but I tell you this, I appreciate soups a lot more after being out here because they have some bomb soups. So I still try not to have it too often before my lunch though, because and maybe that's just the American in me where I'm like, okay, well, if we're having a meal, then I'll just have the meal. I don't need a soup. And I know in the States, if you go to a restaurant, a lot of the time you can get soup or salad before your meal. But I feel like if you. Why do I talk like this? If you have lunch at home, you don't really you might make salad with the lunch or as the lunch, but you don't make soup and then a full meal usually. So that's if you ever come to the Czech Republic, that's also something to keep in mind. Uh, what else? I should have written these down and had these prepared instead of just winging my program that I'm recording to put up on the internet. I think that probably would have been a better plan. But alas, here we are. Here we are. The ingenuity, the innovation of the Shahan Show. This is what we're bringing you is high quality content. And it's really radical in the way that we don't plan things out. I feel like it's quite revolutionary, actually. uh, so if this is the last episode, or if my viewership drops from 5 to 0, I will completely understand. Borderline encourage it. Another another cultural difference out here that I actually love. I think this is genius, and I wish we did this in the States. This is sort of a twofer. So the first part is not necessarily the part that I love because I feel like it's a little problematic, so I'll get that out of the way first. And then the second part, which is the part that I love, and I will reiterate that when I get to it, is just one of the most brilliant things I've ever seen in my life. So the first thing is that out here, when you say to someone, hey, let's go get Chinese, let's get Chinese food, let's go to a Chinese place. Maybe 100% of the time, because I don't know if I've actually ever seen it not be the case. You go to the place and they have Chinese food, Thai food, and Vietnamese food. Sometimes they have sushi as well. So it's sort of, Chinese food is sort of an umbrella term for Asian food. Again, maybe problematic. Don't shoot the messenger. I didn't do it. I just got here, so relax a little bit. Don't blame me. But that's just how it is. And mechanically, it's kind of nice because you can get Chinese food, your friend can get Thai food, et cetera, et cetera. I have had some really good pho out here as well. There's actually a big Vietnamese community in the Czech Republic, so that's nice. And so that's the first part. The second part is the one that I adore, and it is more often than not, when you go have Chinese, you can get fries, French fries, instead of rice, which I think is, and it seems like such an obvious thing. Like, how did Americans not think of this? You know what I mean? How were we not the ones to do this? Because it seems like, I mean, we love French fries. So, and American Chinese food is huge. Why would we not? I don't know. I guess we were sick that day. We didn't get the memo. Not sure. But I love it. Because the fries out here do slap most of the time. Not all the time, but most of the time, they're really damn good. So you can have fries with, kung pao, whatever, fries with your duck. Duck is also huge out here, which is an adjustment for me. So I find that very exciting. Many of you listening may not. And I guess I'm just thinking about that now. So very cool. Speaking of listening, I'm a little worried about this episode because my headphones just broke. So I can't listen to myself as I'm speaking, so I can't really monitor my voice how I would like. A little worried about that. And I just thought about it like right before I started recording. But we'll see. Maybe this episode doesn't even go up. Maybe it does, and it's okay. I'll check it out in post. What else do I want to talk about? If anything, I mean, this might just be a short episode. The first episode, not that this is your problem, but it took me so long to edit. It took me like 5 hours to edit. Because I had all these clicks and was smacking my lips a lot, and I went in there and I removed it because I don't want to be doing that in your ear especially if you're just listening to the audio. I feel like that would be really annoying. So trying not to do that this episode, trying to be more mindful of how I'm speaking, more mindful of the listener experience. Is it working out? Will it pay off? We'll see. Time will tell. Any other cultural differences? Off the top of my head, I'm really drawing a blank. So maybe that'll be a two-parter, the cultural differences thing, because I don't want to just hang out here with dead air and have you guys suffer for my forgetfulness. I think last but not least, I just want to talk a little bit about maybe something a little more serious, because it's something that's popped up for me big time this past week. I seem to have this thing where I look at others and project onto them this sort of power that I wish I felt in my life. And a lot of the time rather, because we only have one time, we don't have multiple times. Although there are time zones, so maybe that's not okay. Why does my brain work like this? I don't know.
Do you understand life?
Probably will never know.
Do you?
That's not important. So a lot of the time when I see someone online who I perceive as being very powerful, And this seems to happen a lot too when I'm on social media and I see the account of a woman who is very conventionally attractive, at least to my ego. I perceive them as having a certain level of power within the world, or having a lot of qualities that I don't, that I just lack. And I've sort of been reminded that we all have that. So, even if you're someone who is listening to this podcast or you're watching it on YouTube and you are looking at me and saying, he has a certain level of XYZ or a certain level of power or whatever quality that you think that you may be missing, and your perception is that I have this thing that you don't. It's not true. Especially me. I'm like, why would you think that, looking at me of all people? But it's not true. We all have those qualities. We all have the thing that you're seeking is within you. I know there are moments where it really doesn't feel like it, and the feeling is so compelling, and you feel like the chasm between you and them is, infinite. But it's not. It's really not. I feel like there may be certain levels of process that someone has gone through to unlock those qualities or to strengthen those qualities or remind them that those qualities are there. But allow this to be a reminder, and this is, as much of a reminder for me as anyone else, that the qualities are already there. And I had a coaching call earlier in the week with one of my teachers. I'm sort of in a men's program of, I guess you could call it, of a spiritual nature. That's not really the best way to describe it, but it's kind of hard to describe if you're not in it or in that world. So, and what we talked about was games and how life is a game and we're always playing, multiple games really. And you always have to be aware of and ask yourself, well, what games am I playing? Do I keep wanting to play this game? Do I want to keep playing this game in the same way? So I'll give you an example. With music, the game that I tend to play is that me having what I want and me getting to a certain place, a certain level of success, is hopeless. And I am constantly struggling with these feelings of hopelessness. And yet I'm always under the impression that I have to go to someone else for an opportunity in order to have that success. And I just think I'm really tired of playing that game. And the game that I would rather play is creating an opportunity for myself, creating that. The metaphor that I used was, after so long, you get tired of knocking on doors. So I think it's time for me to build my own door. And I don't really know what that looks like yet on the physical, mechanical side of things, on the practical side of things. But on the more abstract, more emotional, or divine feminine, if that resonates with you, side of things, it's about knowing that I am capable and knowing that I'm worthy. And once I had sort of put a voice to these feelings, I started to feel that capability within myself and some more confidence within myself reemerge. Because, of course, we go through our lives experiencing these things, experiencing these qualities that we project onto others, and we might resent others because we feel like, well, why do you get to have this thing that I don't? But throughout our lives, of course, I'm sure that there's a moment in your life where even that thing that you're convinced that you're missing, you expressed at a certain point or moment in your life. Those things don't go away. So that power, that capability, that quality that you're looking for is within you. I promise you. And I think it gets especially challenging when we live in a society where, society, I'm sure as a species, we've always looked outside of ourselves for answers and guidance. But we live in an age now where we're being sold more things than ever, more quickly than ever. You go on Instagram and it's like, you scroll through 4 posts and then there's an ad. Every 3, 4, 5 posts, you get an ad for something. And that's tough. There's a million, probably way more than a million people out there who are, of course, there are people out there who are genuine, who are the real deal, who really do have a gift or something to offer, something to teach. I'm not knocking those people in the slightest, but oh, nice, a fly just flew past the phone camera. That's awesome. It was a special effect I'm trying out.
You must be kidding, aren't you?
Of course, there are people out there who genuinely want to help others, who genuinely do have something to offer and do help people. But it's probably easier now more than ever to go outside of ourselves, to find someone else, to really prescribe whatever it is that we wish we had more of. And, the metaphor that I have, and this came to me a few days ago, and it stuck with me, and I don't know if this may not resonate with anyone who's listening to this. That's fine. I'll just put it out there. It's not, if we're going back to the metaphor of playing a game, and I realize this for myself, so this may resonate with someone else. It's not that I don't have the magical bracelet or the magical amulet or the ring or whatever metaphor you want to use. It's not that that's not in my inventory. I just decided to unequip it somewhere along the way. And even though that thing is inside of me, I have to put it on. I have to equip it. I have to use it. Otherwise, it doesn't do anything. So you have the thing that you need. You just have to use it. You just have to equip it. So I hope that resonates with someone out there. And the next time you look at someone else and you feel like they have something that you don't, I would invite you to think about a time when you felt like you did have that. And try to figure out why you feel like you don't anymore. And maybe you just say, okay, I haven't been feeling this way, but I'm going to take that magical amulet and equip it. I'm going to put it on today and see how it feels. So with that, this episode is going to be a little bit shorter. And hopefully you still enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments if you think there are changes I should make. If you have any suggestions for future episodes, topics I should talk about. I would also, if you do enjoy the show, feel free to smash that like button and just absolutely just fucking ruin that subscribe. That'll keep you tuned in for future episodes. Big shout out to my sponsor, Bean Spa, as well. They do great work. And again, use that coupon, Beans for Life. Get the 20% off. Go to Bean Spa. I recommend the black bean dip. It'll change your life. You'll feel like a new person. My name is James Shahan. Thanks for tuning in to The Shahan Show. As always, take care of yourself. Be safe. And I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.